Have you ever felt just completely swamped by life? Like you're just pushing through on sheer willpower?
Well, absolutely. We've all been there.
Or maybe you've had those other moments, those really rare ones where you're so deep into something that time just vanishes. And you feel this incredible sense of joy and, I don't know, capability.
You get totally absorbed.
Exactly. So what if, even in those really tough times, you could tap into some kind of internal power source? Something that not only helps you get through it, but actually helps you find real gratification. Today on The Deep Dive, that's exactly what we're exploring. Finding joy in your strength, recognizing your inner power and resilience. We're going to unpack some fascinating insights, psychology, wellness, real-life stories to show you how you can identify and cultivate and really use that inner strength. This isn't just about surviving, you know.
Right. It's much more than that.
It's about thriving, finding satisfaction no matter what's happening. So let's dig in. We're really talking about unlocking something powerful inside.
And what's really interesting, I think, is how all these different pieces fit together. You know, the science of optimal experience, the impact of being kind to yourself, the power of sharing our stories, they sort of weave together into this practical roadmap, not just for resilience, which is key, but for actually finding joy in that whole process. It's about understanding how it works so you can kind of intentionally encourage it.
Okay, so to kick us off, let's talk about something many of you listening have probably felt. Even if you don't know the name for it, it's called flow.
Yes, flow.
The psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, he coined this term for what he called the optimal experience. You know that feeling, deep immersion, time just disappears.
Totally lost in it.
Complete absorption and this really high sense of gratification. But how does it actually, work?
Well, our minds, they have a limit, right, on how much information they can process at once. It's something like 110 bits per second. Roughly.
Wow, that's specific.
Yeah, it's an estimate, but the point is, it's limited. So when you're in that flow state, your entire attention is just consumed by the task at hand. It creates what's called effortless attention.
Effortless attention. I like that.
Right. You're not trying to focus. You just are focused.
Yeah.
And that's why it usually happens during active engagement, doing something for its own sake, not usually when you're just passively, say, watching TV.
What's really cool is that this flow thing, it isn't just some random happy accident. It seems like it's almost designed into our brains.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
It pops up when there's this really careful balance, a balance between how challenging you perceive the task to be and how skilled you feel you are.
Okay.
There's this model, the experience fluctuation model, and it shows that flow happens most often in that sweet spot, where the challenge is slightly higher than average for you, and your skills are also above average for the task.
So it stretches you, but just enough.
Exactly. Just enough to engage all your focus. It stops you from feeling anxious because it's too hard or bored because it's too easy. It's really where optimal learning and growth happen.
And that leads to another idea, right? This autotelic personality.
Yes, exactly. These are people who seem to actively seek out challenges and those flow experiences. Why? Because the activity itself is the reward for them.
Intrinsic motivation.
Precisely. They tend to be curious, persistent, not overly egotistical, and really driven from within. They're drawn to situations that offer, high action opportunity, but also require high skills. They're basically looking for environments where they can truly come alive and grow.
So where do we actually see this effortless attention playing out, like beyond the theory? Can you give us some maybe surprising example?
Oh, absolutely. Think about musicians improvising.
Okay.
Pianists in flow, they don't just perform better, they even show physiological changes, like their facial muscles relax, heart rate might decrease slightly. Drummers talk about being in the pocket.
Right, that collective groove.
Yeah, where the energy just drives the beat and is really vivid in sports too. Athletes call it being in the zone.
Ah, the zone, of course.
Yeah, you hear stories like Formula One driver Ayrton Senna saying he felt like he was in a different dimension, just reacting instinctively, going faster than he thought possible.
Wow.
And even in the workplace, flow is linked to higher job satisfaction, achieving more. It helps foster what some call good work, where you enjoy doing your best and you feel like you're contributing to something beyond yourself.
So if we're kind of wired to find joy when we're fully engaged and challenged just the right amount, it sounds like joy isn't just something that happens after success. It's like an active ingredient in getting there.
That's a great way to put it. It fuels the pursuit itself.
Okay, so flow shows us how our brains are wired for this engaged joy, especially when we're challenged just right. But What happens when that just right challenge suddenly feels like way too much? Or when we mess up, when we stumble?
Right, because life isn't always flow state, is it?
Yeah. Definitely not. And that's where maybe our next big tool for inner strength comes in. It's something that might sound a bit softer than, say, grit, but it could be just as crucial, maybe even more so. It's self-compassion. Kristen Neff, she defines it with 3 main parts.
That's right. The first is self-kindness. Basically, being warm and understanding towards yourself when you're in pain or feel like you've fallen short, instead of that harsh inner critic.
Which is so easy to fall into.
Oh, yeah. The second part is common humanity. Recognizing that suffering and failing, they're just part of being human. It's universal. You're not isolated in your struggles, even though they can feel that way.
That's powerful.
And the third is mindfulness, taking a balanced view of your negative emotions, observing them without judging, and without either suppressing them or getting totally carried away by them.
That feels like such a huge shift from the way many of us were, taught to think, that whole tough love thing, especially with ourselves. Is it really more effective to be kind to ourselves than to be our own drill sergeant when we're trying to push past something difficult?
Well, the research actually points very clearly in that direction. Self-kindness seems to be a much more powerful and definitely more sustainable fuel for resilience and recovery.
Really? More powerful than being tough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about self-pity, let's be clear on that. It's an active, adaptive process. It validates our experience, helps us break out of those negative thought loops, and actually improves psychological health overall. People who practice self-compassion report greater life satisfaction, more happiness, better emotional resilience, and less anxiety, less depression, less destructive perfectionism. It helps us bounce back faster from setbacks and, interestingly, learn more effectively from them too.
Okay, I'm sold. So how do we actually do this, like practically? What are some ways to cultivate more self-compassion?
One really effective exercise is to ask yourself, how would I treat a friend? Imagine a close friend going through the exact same thing you are. What would you say? How would you treat them? Then try to offer that same kindness and understanding to yourself.
That makes intuitive sense.
Another one is called the self-compassion break. When you're feeling acute distress, you can mentally repeat a few prompts. First, acknowledge the pain. This is a moment of suffering. Then, connect to common humanity. Suffering is a part of life. And finally, offer self-kindness. May I be kind to myself.
This is those simple phrases.
They can be surprisingly grounding. And finally, exploring through writing can be really transformative. Try writing a letter to yourself, but from the perspective of an imaginary friend who loves you unconditionally. Focus on something you perceive as an imperfection. It helps you generate those soothing, kind feelings internally.
Okay, so flow is about getting optimally engaged, and self-compassion is about being kind to ourselves internally. How do these things kind of combine into this bigger idea of inner strength? What exactly is inner strength anyway?
Fundamentally, I'd say inner strength is an unwavering belief in oneself, or maybe a wellspring of resilience. It's your collection of internal resources, your mental and emotional tools, like behaviors, skills, attitudes that give you stability and adaptability.
Like a psychological anchor.
Exactly. That's a great term for it. It's what allows you to, keep your composure under pressure, bounce back from setbacks with renewed determination, keep pursuing your goals with focus, and adapt to change with flexibility. It's not just about enduring stuff. It's about thriving through it.
That sounds like something we could all use more of. So, okay, beyond just knowing what it is, how do we actively build it? What are the practical steps?
Well, a lot of the strategies actually echo things we've already touched on, which is interesting. Mindfulness, for instance. Staying present, observing thoughts and emotions without judgment that builds strength.
Okay.
Self-discipline. Things like committing to productive studying or any consistent positive habit, it strengthens your inner resolve. Asking why. Connecting to your deeper purpose that fuels your motivation to tackle setbacks.
Right, the motivation piece.
Making decisions, even tough ones, actively builds strength because indecision just drains your energy. Practicing calm and self-control, consciously choosing controlled perseverance instead of panic.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, for sure. It's a practice. And then positive habits like practicing gratitude. Research shows it improves well-being, sleep, relationships. It's a powerful strength builder. And finally, don't forget celebrating successes. Acknowledging and enjoying achievements when things work out reinforces those positive pathways. It's really a holistic approach, continuously addressing self-doubt by intentionally building these internal muscles.
It's really fascinating how these threads, Mindfulness, being intentional, self-kindness, they just keep weaving through flow, self-compassion, and inner strength. It all seems to come back to being more present, more purposeful, and yeah, kinder to ourselves.
Exactly.
But what about finding joy when things are genuinely, objectively hard? Is joy just reserved for the good times?
That really raises a critical question, doesn't it? How often do we kind of shut ourselves off from positive emotions precisely when we need them the most?
Yeah, like feeling guilty for feeling good when things are bad.
Right. But joy isn't just for easy times. There's research by Barbara Fredrickson suggesting that positive emotions experienced during stress can actually help undo the negative cardiovascular effects of that stress.
Wow, really? Undo the physical effects?
Yeah, and it broadens your mindset. It helps you break out of those negative sort of gloom and doom thinking cycles and builds resilience for whatever challenges come next. So these aren't just fluffy, feel-good tips. They're actually scientifically supported strategies for real resilience.
Okay, so what are some concrete, actionable ways to inject some joy, even when life is throwing curveballs? I love that idea you mentioned earlier about using the good dishes.
Yes, it's such a simple but powerful symbolic act. After Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico hard, people started using their fine china, maybe the only nice things they had left, for communal meals. It was a reminder, even in displacement and loss, that you're still worthy of beauty and joy.
That's beautiful.
Another powerful one, make someone else laugh. Laughter is incredibly contagious. Just sending a friend a funny animal video or cracking a dumb joke, it shifts your focus off your own distress for a moment. And it genuinely lifts both your spirits and theirs.
Okay, what about something that sounds totally counterintuitive, like throwing a party when times are tough?
It does sound a bit wild, doesn't it? But it works. Celebrating, even simply gathering during adversity, brings that vital community support. It strengthens everyone's resolve. Think of John Shields, the writer, who hosted his own Irish wake while he was terminally ill. He turned it into a celebration of his life, with him there.
Incredible.
Or, during the height of the AIDS crisis, activists talked about how dancing and partying together helped revive us and keep our spirits up for the fight. It wasn't about being frivolous. It was about connection and strength.
Community connect.
Exactly. And tied to that, don't underestimate just singing and dancing. Studies even show that when people sing or move together, their heart rates and brainwaves can actually synchronize. It promotes cooperation, provides buoyancy, releases emotion. Think about group singing, like Melanie Demore talks about with sorrow songs and jubilee songs.
Yes, synchronicity idea is amazing. I also love the suggestion of wearing something joyful.
Oh yeah, the fake it till you feel it approach can genuinely work. I heard this great story about someone who got stranded unexpectedly in Ohio in winter. They went out and bought the most ridiculously bright and silly winter hat and gloves they could find. And they said every time they looked at each other wearing this gear, they just cracked up. It totally changed the feeling of being stuck. Wearing a bright pink sweater or a fun necklace, it can actually lighten your mood and create these little positive micro connections with others, making a tough day just a little bit brighter.
Beyond these individual strategies, though, there's also this immense power in sharing our experiences, right? Especially when recovering from really big challenges. That transformative power of shared stories seems huge.
It really is profound. When we talk openly about our personal struggles, whatever they are, it helps break that cycle of shame and isolation that often comes with difficulty. It signals to others, you are not alone in this. And it shows that healing and recovery are actually possible.
And there's science behind that, too.
Yeah, there is. Storytelling activates parts of the listener's brain linked to understanding and empathy. So when someone shares their journey, maybe with anxiety or PTSD or addiction or depression, listeners don't just hear the facts. They connect on a deeper, more human level. It really helps break down misunderstandings and reduce stigma.
So that vulnerability, sharing your story, even if you're scared of being judged, it's actually a strength.
It's a profound strength. Every single person who shares their journey is contributing to shifting perceptions, showing that setbacks don't have to define you.
It's pretty incredible to think that just by sharing our authentic selves, flaws and all, we could literally be a beacon of hope for someone else going through it.
Absolutely. And recovery itself, whether it's from mental health challenges or addiction or anything else, it's usually a process of consistent small choices.
Yeah,
right?
not one giant leap.
Exactly. Going to therapy, joining a support group, maybe just celebrating making it through 1 week sober or managing anxiety better. These small wins, they have a huge cumulative impact. They lead to lasting success. And setbacks, they aren't failures. They're just data, opportunities to learn something and come back stronger.
That reframing is important.
Definitely. And for that lasting healing, it can be helpful to think about maybe 5 interconnected pillars. You need accountability and self-care as your personal foundation. You need healthy relationships for that vital external support. And then you need a sense of purpose and a commitment to continuous growth to keep moving forward.
Accountability, self-care, relationships, purpose, growth. Got it.
And remember, a single story, one person sharing honestly, it can inspire so many others. It builds that strong sense of community and creates this amazing ripple effect of healing and support.
Okay, so as we start to wrap up this deep dive, we've covered a lot of ground on inner power. We looked at that deep immersion of flow where, effort meets effortless joy, and the gentle strength of self-compassion, learning to be kind to ourselves, especially when we struggle. We talked about building that robust toolkit of inner resilience and how to actively, intentionally seek out joy, even in really tough times.
Yeah, using those practical strategies.
And finally, we touched on how sharing our own journeys, however imperfect they feel, builds this incredible collective strength and hope. So the main thing to remember for everyone listening is that recognizing and nurturing these parts of yourself, it's an ongoing journey. It's not a destination.
Right.
You have this reservoir of strength, this capacity for joy already inside you. It's just waiting to be tapped into, to be unleashed.
And maybe this raises a final question for you to ponder. How will you choose to lean into your own autotelic personality? How will you actively seek out those challenges, those activities that truly make you come alive and help you grow?
That's a great question to leave people with. We really hope this deep dive has given you some powerful tools, maybe some fresh perspectives for finding your own unique path to joy and resilience.